Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19, which, as you may know by now, is 12,000 strong. Quick shout out. Thank you. I did a video just on this that I put up like right before the Fever game, so you might have missed it, but I went into more detail on that. But thank you to all of you who support the channel. Let's dig into the Indiana Fever against the Atlanta Dream, and they got a win. And look, I'm gonna big caveat here, okay? I think this is important. I'm gonna say this. I'm going off of what I saw and give feedback, the good things, the bad things, what I think it might mean for the season, with the understanding that we all know it's the preseason. So there may be things done a little differently. There may be things done more than might be done in a regular game because they're trying to get a feel for it, so something might happen more often in terms of a typical type of play or something like that, and how a team plays in the preseason, their record in the preseason, good or bad, is not often, sometimes, sure, but not often an indication of what their regular season is going to be like. There have been NFL teams, Major League Baseball teams, whatever, that had great preseasons and had terrible seasons. I've had in terms of like record and how it looks. I mean, uh, bad preseasons and great seasons. So all of this is with that understanding. First thing I'm going to do is shout out Lexie Hull, who was an absolute beast today. The Indiana Fever don't win this game without her. Correct me if I'm wrong. And also, first, before I even get to that, Sophie Cunningham, one of those inevitable, everyone has done it type of injuries where she went up for a rebound, came down on another player who got in her space, came down on her foot, rolled her ankle. We didn't hear anything after that. Don't get me started on the quality of the camera work and the announcing and the officiating today. All unbelievably subpar and unprofessional. I mean, the cameraman multiple times saw a player would shoot a free throw, and then the cameraman would quickly switch to a close up of the shooter just standing there, and we have no idea what the ball's doing, if it's going in the basket or not. But I could do an entire video on all that nonsense. I mean, basketball games, there have been a gazillion of them on TV. There's a formula. It's very simple to follow. It shouldn't be that bad. But anyway, so let's hope Sophie is okay, and it's just one of those that it hurts for a bit, get some ice on it, loosen it up, and she's good to go for the first game, fingers crossed. But Lexie Hull, as you can see here, 23 minutes, 6 of 12 from the field, 2 of 3 from the line, 14 points. So 5 rebounds, 4 of them offensive. At least one, if not two, led to a bucket, 4 assists as well, and a steal, 0 turnovers. And oh, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure all 14 points came in the fourth quarter. And it was good that they got that because the team didn't shoot that well. 43.8%. And it wasn't like they were terrible from three, 34.8%, but they did not shoot great. Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, and Lexie Hull, 3 returning players, are all the ones in double figures. So they all looked pretty good. I mean, Kelsey had some moments where she reverted to pre-Caitlin Clark Kelsey, which is concerning at times. But she also, you know what? Overall, I've seen her been playing better defense as well. She had a great defensive sequence in this game. But yeah, so let's dig in a little bit. Let's talk about some of these things. I'm going to give you the truth and some rah rah maybe, but I'm not going to give you just rah rah because there's, overall it was not a good looking showing. It really wasn't. But like I said, the officials were awful as well. But and I made this statement before, and I stand by it. Aaliyah Boston's minutes have to be reduced with the roster that they have for the season. She did not look good today. She's missing way too many shots in that 3, 4, 5, 6 foot range. She got sealed under the hoop defensively, like right under the hoop multiple times. She looks slow. There was a defensive sequence where I think it was Sophie Cunningham came down for a trap and a double team, and Aaliyah Boston just did not slide to the baseline like she should have to cut the offensive player off who went around her, and they ended up getting a big bucket out of that. So, yeah, she does some things well, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing from Aaliyah Boston right now. Hopefully, she turns things around. Tempo. Let's talk about tempo of the team. It was kind of today. again, they had some moments. They had some moments where they ran and it looked really good. You had a couple of great passes. I think they were both in the third quarter. Caitlin Clark to Duana Bonner right away to get well, the one wasn't actually a bucket because Bonner got fouled, and then the second one she actually got the layup. So those look great, but overall, they didn't seem to run as much as I expected, and the half court offense did not have much of anything to it. There were some moments. Look, when they give the ball to Caitlin and get going quickly, it looked great. But they didn't do it nearly enough. They just didn't do it nearly enough. All too often, in fact, I thought, and this is one of the concerns I told you about. And again, maybe they did it more than they would in a regular game because they want to see it. But if they have Caitlin Clark off the ball as often as they did this game, no one's going to watch. No one's going to watch. It was an ugly basketball game from both teams. The Atlanta Dream couldn't hit the side of a barn, as they say, thankfully. In fact, I'm just curious. I didn't even look yet. That's just kind of from what I saw, but yeah, 33.8% from the field, 30% from three. But yeah, it was just sort of an ugly looking game. There were some nice moments. Don't get me wrong. There were some nice moments. I think. Well, what frustrated me, and why I want to start off with this one is a knock on wood. I can show it. This was after I think I'd said to some people that I was talking to that Stephanie White looks like she has Christy sidesed Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was off the ball majority of the first quarter. She was not bringing it up. And then on top of that, she was standing in the corner during an offensive set multiple times in a row in which they never even looked to get her the basketball. And her only bucket early on was this, where she had to get the rebound, of which she grabbed six in like 21 minutes, and go the entire length of the court herself. By the way, she runs right by all her teammates and get that bucket. And that was her early, but I think she also had a three. She got a couple shots, but it just did not. It looked like every Fevers fan's worst nightmare for really the entirety of the first quarter. That was really, really concerning. And when Caitlin did get going, it looked kind of like, remember in the Chrissy Sides era last year when it just seemed like Caitlin said, "You know what? Enough's enough. I'm just going to do my thing, regardless of what the bench wants." And I'm not saying that is the case. White could have switched it up, but that's kind of what it reminded me of. And then here was another again, and this is another play generated by Caitlin Clark that got Sophie a nice bucket as well, where Caitlin's pushing the pace herself. She's looking for that. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to step back," and no, the defense, and then Sophie, great cut, great finish, gets the bucket, and it's stuff like that. Look, good things. This is what I hope people understand. Good things, and even this. I'll just show this real quick. Um, Even this came from Caitlin Clark, right? Bonner sets the pick. They go with it. They're both on Clark because they're concerned. Dewana Bonner's wide open for a three. And so you get, even when it doesn't directly come from Caitlin Clark, teammates shoot better. This is why, as great as Kelsey Mitchell is, and I've said she's the best shooting guard in the league, she had her best season last year in terms of shooting percentage and all that. Same reason with Lexie Hull from three is because Caitlin Clark is on the court. If you're going to stick Caitlin Clark in the corner, if you're going to keep the ball out of her hands, you are going to struggle as a team much more so than if you just took advantage of everything that she does. And so the tempo, now there were some moments, again, there were some really good moments. Also, when I say tempo, I'm talking about the defense too. There were some moments where they picked up full court. There were a couple of nice plays by Bonner that I think caused a turnover or at least got knocked it out of bounds. There was a nice play by Howard as well, that caused a turnover. And I believe she actually got caused an illegal pick because she picked up full court. They weren't expecting it. I think it was Ryan Howard who stopped. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on the player, but I think it was Ryan Howard. She's going up the court and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to stop." And kind of back up a little bit right into Howard, like maybe I'm setting a pick. And the official, I will say, did a good job on that particular call and got that one right. Spacing in general offensively, again, there were some really nice moments. There were usually when Caitlin Clark was out on the court. Although I will say there was well, she was on the court, but I will say there was one that stood out for me. that I wanted to find but couldn't. Maybe it'll be up later. Where Sydney Colson was, there were two with Sydney Colson. There was one where Caitlin Clark was on the court. They got the ball in transition. Pushed it up, but you could tell she knew she had Caitlin Clark trailing, and she was looking for her. Got Caitlin Clark the ball. Then from Caitlin Clark, Lexie Hull, I believe, cut to the basket from the corner, and they got a layup out of it. There was another one where Lexie Hull got a pass from Sydney Colson that was similar as well. So Sydney did some nice things, but the spacing did not look great when Caitlin in the half court offense, especially when Caitlin wasn't out there. It didn't look that great. I think. Sorry that that was running. They, I hate this. Anyone know if you can turn off autoplay on Twitter videos? But I think here, and I'll see, and here's an example again. When you let Caitlin start with the ball, even if it's a little bit half tempo, and you can see where she's shooting from too, she's going to make something happen. The defense feels a lot of pressure, way more pressure when Caitlin Clark brings it up the court than when somebody else brings the ball up the court. Defensive rotations. There was some nice stuff. Again, overall, it looked just kind of it was mixed. There was some nice stuff. Again, Boston was too slow. I thought Bonner was good. I think there was a play with her and Lexie Hull where they had did a great job of switching off a pick and roll. Uh, Overall, the team looked kind of lethargic. And again, keep in mind the preseason, but also keep in mind they won the game. Now, to be fair, Brittany Griner played the first 2 minutes, hit a three-pointer, and then sat for the rest of the game. So you had that as well. Atlanta was playing a lot of rooks and a lot of young players to finalize their roster. As I mentioned, Bonner was getting sealed off. Bonner, Boston. Sorry, Duana. Boston was getting sealed off too far. She was getting sealed off under the basket too often in the paint, which was causing some problems. That's something that has to be fixed. And again, and also this could go to again learning each other. There was a time I think it was two sequences in a row, and this can also go to hey, they're learning new plays. And when that happens, a lot of times you get locked in. It's like a quarterback, right? Talk about quarterbacks that struggle, they get locked in on that number one option, that number one target on the play, and they don't go through their progression. And it seemed like I saw that a few times with this offense. So again, but just that in itself, the familiarity. We also saw Bonner where going looking to return a pass to Lexie Hull, and Lexie Hull, I guess, Lexie made the decision to cut toward the basket. Bonner threw it to where she was. There were a few plays like that, and then there was also AB. We talked about AB being that sort of point center and getting it up top because again, she does have a high basketball IQ, good passer. But one time she had it there, missed Lexie Hull wide open going to the bucket. Then either it was either the next time down or the time after that where Bonner was locked in on where her number one option, I think, was in terms of going for the ball. And again, missed Lexie Hull wide open. Natasha Howard, there was a time where she got the ball posted up, but not close to the basket. It was one of those where she's posted on the baseline, but she's, 12 feet or so away from the basket. And she had Clark on an easy pass wide open for a three right in front of her because she's back to basket, right? So Natasha's looking toward the sideline. She's got Caitlin Clark, who's got the arms open, like, give me the ball. And Howard completely ignored her and went to the bucket instead. So those are the types of things that are going to have to get cleaned up for sure. Um, and what concerns me, and I say they might have done it more than they normally will in a game because they wanted to see it. But I've said this from day one when I've heard about it that I'm concerned with how much off the ball Caitlin Clark plays. If it's off the ball and she's coming off a screen to shoot an open three, which happened a couple times, great. If she's off the ball and that she's not even bringing it up the court at all, and you're going to stick her in the corner a la Christy Sides, and you don't even look at her because you're running it for somebody else, and you're not even going to think of passing to Clark, which happened a few times. That I don't like. So we'll see. I can't predict what's going to happen. I'm just kind of giving you my insight and view on what I'm seeing in this great game. But please, please do not Christy Sides Caitlin Clark this season. It does not work. It does not work. Um, because early on, I was like, wait, is Caitlin even playing in this game? Like I said, she had to get a rebound and go coast to coast, really to get a bucket. Um, there's just too many times where the team looked slow. I don't know if it was a hard week of training camp or it was something with their travel or what it is. But and again, all of this, and they won. Okay. So look, I'm not people are gonna say, oh my God, I'm not panicking. I'm just kind of giving you my insight on this game as a game while also understanding that yes, it was the last preseason game. I know I've said that like 3 times, but you know I'm gonna get comments like, "Oh my god, you're panicking about a piss." I'm not. I'm really not. But it was wild with all that talent on the team, and again, they won. But Lexie Hull, I want us to talk about Lexie Hull one more time because I thought it was interesting, and maybe I'll find some. I didn't have any clips at the time. Oh, and again, we had this, and this is where I mean Clark. I mean Boston. Boston can be really good with this type of stuff, but she misses too many shots under the bucket. I think this was even with a foul, right? But this is what Caitlin can make, and Boston knows it, and that's a great job by her of coming to Caitlin and then making that cut behind the defender and sealing that defender off sideways with her hip to create space, get the left hand up to receive the pass because she knows Caitlin can hit that pass. So I love that. Like that's what I'm saying. That's why Boston frustrates me so much because there are these things that she does so incredibly well, especially little things like that. And when I say little, they're huge, but they're the little things that don't necessarily go noticed by fans when you're just watching and enjoying a game, right? But she set that up by coming. Let me see if I can, maybe I can show it again, hopefully. But she set that up by coming right? See how she comes towards Clark and then she cuts back. It's like she had like a V cut there and gets herself sealed behind the defender and there's all that space because look at the rest of the teammates in front, right? They all came out this way. Defenders came with them. No one dropped to help on Boston because Boston was going to Clark. A lot of people are probably thinking Boston is going out there to set a pick. They're going to work the pick and roll. No, no, Boston switches that up. She gets herself into a great position, gets that hand up. There's nothing but space, collects it, gets the bucket and won. That's the type of stuff I absolutely love by Aaliyah Boston. And then Michaela Timpson didn't play until late, right? Like she actually didn't play a lot. I'm guessing that obvious that this is solidified. Jalen Brown got in there as well. She hit a big three. I think the pass came from Michaela Timpson, but this was a great play by Michaela here. This is a great example and great ball movement too. Great cut by Lexi and great job seeing Michaela Timpson coming inside. But hopefully I see all these. If I'm talking about a play and you don't see it, they wouldn't let me show it. Um, but overall, Michaela looked a little bit like she was pressing. I don't know if she was nervous because of, like this is it and this is the last opportunity I have to show the team and am I going to make the team? Although I think we all believe she's made the team, but I get as a player you don't want to think that way. So it just seemed like there were a couple of shots that she took that felt a little bit like she was she was pressed, maybe pressed. I don't want to say nervous, but sometimes as an athlete, as a player, when you really want to make something happen instead of letting the game come to you, and that's what they talk about when they mean they're press it. You're forcing it a little, not like there's you know, four defenders on one player in the box and you're throwing that pass at not that kind of force, but you're forcing your game. You're trying to force the impact that you're going to have on the game, maybe making plays, taking shots that you shouldn't necessarily be taking because you want to make something happen. And I felt there was a little bit of that from her because she didn't play a lot. I think that was it in terms of and there's this too. Even before that monster fourth quarter, we had this type of stuff from Lexie Hull that is just what all this talent they brought in. And I tell you what, this team needs Lexie Hull. This team needs Lexie Hull um, because she's a really big part of the team. By the way, Sophie went down as well on that to actually get that so that Lexie Hull could make that play. Um, the announcers called Sophie Cunningham, Lexie Hull on one play. Never did correct themselves, but that's the unprofessionalism and incompetence of the WNBA. So I think we're all pretty much used to that at this point. But this got insanely, insanely long. I'm so sorry about that. I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Yeah, I'm sick of. Can we outlaw these incredibly loud car engines that sound like there might be a some stuff going on in the neighborhood. But smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I will talk to you later.